Hi there, Mrs. Ehlke here. Today I just wanted to show you kind of a cool trick that you can do to make optical illusion. So this kind of takes some lines, which are normally 2D, and when done in the right way can make art look 3D. So we're going to play around with that. Today I am using a very high-end fancy pen. This is a Bastion. I'll put information in my description below on this pen, but you could use whatever you have around your house to get started. All right, follow along. So I have a piece of paper and my fancy pen here, and I'm going to start off by making somewhat of a square shape. You can see because I'm not using a ruler, it's not perfectly square. So if you would like nice straight lines, feel free to use a ruler for this. I'm going to go ahead and pick my top corner here, and I'm going to make a line that doesn't go straight down, but a little bit off. So it actually makes a really long and skinny triangle. And then I'm going to start where I left off, and I'm going to do the same thing going to the next side. So going a little bit off, not a straight line, but a little bit of a diagonal to make another long and skinny triangle. I'm going to continue that towards the top, and then I'm going to continue doing that back to where I began. So you can see it actually makes a square that's kind of slanted. I'm going to continue the same pattern going down again, this time moving my pen a little bit over to the side so that I'm continuing making these skinny triangles, and I'm continuing the pattern in a circle all the way around basically. So I just continue to go down, left, up, right, down, left, up, right, and each time I am going a little bit farther over so that I still have these really long and skinny triangles. And as I do this, I am adding more and more of these kind of slanted squares. And you can see that it kind of starts creating this illusion. It makes it look like this shape is kind of popping up towards you out of the paper, which is kind of how this cool optical illusion happens. So I'm going to continue doing this all the way until I basically run out of room. And you can end on a square or rectangle, or you can end with the triangle. It really doesn't matter. But I'm just going to continue doing this until basically I don't have any room for more. Like so. And it looks like a teeny tiny triangle at the end of mine, as you can see. So that's one way that I'm going to do this with the basic square to begin with, but you can also do this with other shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and start again on this side, and this time I'm going to start with a different shape. In fact, I think I'm going to use a triangle. So I'm just going to make any size triangle. This one is, I'm going to shoot for kind of an equilateral triangle so that all of the sides are somewhat equal. But again, I'm not using a ruler, so it's okay if it's not exact. And I'm actually going to do the same steps that I did for the last one. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to go down, making a very long and skinny triangle. And then I'm going to go over to the left, again, making a long skinny triangle, and then back up to the top. And I'm going to continue this pattern around and around and around, just like I did with the square, until I run out of room and I don't have any space left. And you can see by me doing this that, again, I create kind of this illusion. I give this depth by just using straight lines. So it's kind of a cool thing to do. I like to do this maybe if I'm doodling on a piece of paper and I don't know what to draw, just try to come up with different ways that I can practice this design. Now there's my square, there's my triangle. So this is the basics. Now I want to get a little bit more complex. So I want to show you what you can do with those now to make it a little bit fancier. This time, I'm going to go ahead and start with a larger rectangle, and I'm going to divide it up into some other shapes. So I'm going to start maybe by, I'll go ahead and make a diagonal line from one corner to the other corner. And again, if you're more comfortable using a ruler to get nice straight lines, I totally recommend that. Then I'm going to go ahead and do it from the other one so that I have a nice X in the middle. And I think I could do this, right? I could have 4 triangles, but I want to divide it up even smaller. So I'm going to make kind of a diamond shape here in the middle by going to the centers of each of my sides. And that way I have a mixture of basically square shapes and triangle shapes. So you can see I've got both. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my exact same trick inside of each of these shapes. And I found just by playing around with this that it usually works the best if you always start in the same spot and go the same direction. You can make it like alternating starts, so maybe start on the bottom for some and go to the left, start at the top and go to the right. Play around with it, see what you come up with. But for this one, I'm always starting at the top and then kind of going in a clockwise direction around each of these shapes. And you can see I just did the triangle. Now I'm going to do this kind of diamond shape, which is basically like a square kind of tilted. And I'm going to continue the same pattern. And at first, I mean, it's very simple, right? We're just making this very basic design, but boy, when you do all of these shapes together, it gets so much fancier and it makes it look so much more complex. You can really wow your friends and family just by this simple doodle if you put all of them together to create this really cool design. And you could play a lot with different colors, or you could play with different types of patterns and things like that. I could not get enough of doing this design, and I love to use it to experiment with different techniques. So I went ahead and just sped up the rest of this quite a bit so that you could kind of get the idea of me filling in all of these little patterns here and see how cool it looks when it's done. So again, I'm just taking it shape by shape, doing triangle and then a square and then a triangle and then a square. But you can see when you put them all together, it creates this really cool optical illusion type effect. And this, of course, is just using lines, but you could also add some color or some shading to enhance it even more. So I hope you try this out and see how it goes for you. And if you do, please let me know. I would love to see how your design turns out as well. And again, I'm using the Bastion Pen, which was super fun to experiment with also. Thanks so much for watching, and join me again soon for more fun art tutorials. Have a good one.